Okay, so this week at the end of this, so what did we learn? What did we learn? Do you remember what we learned? We learned so far 2 sichas of the Rebbe. Here, the first one was very short. Here, this one was very short, if you remember. And it says, when you go out to war on your enemy. So the world can be a big war, and your big enemy is yourself, your own attitude. And as soon as you go out and decide to make a war, you're already on your enemy. But you have to go out of yourself a little bit. And then you can be sure that God will put it into your hand. That's the first sicha. Second sicha talked about, remember, the ma'akeh, that you have to put a fence around your roof. In the end, the Rebbe said that whenever you start any new endeavor, if you have to put a fence around your head, and you have to make a blessing on it, attach yourself to Hashem, and the more that you are attached to Hashem, the less possible will it be for anyone to fall off of the roof. The fence around your roof is fear of God around your head. And then you can make a blessing. And the Rebbe explained what a blessing is. Boruch means to draw down. That Hashem, who's above the world, becomes Elokeinu, becomes your power. And then it gives you the power to be the rule over the world. You realize that the world is there for you to influence positively the world, change the world positively, and not the other way around. And then Sivanu, God, you're connected to God. Remember we learned that? Very beautiful. And the Rebbe said that what can we learn from this? Is that every day, when you start a new day, it's like building a new house. And every day you have to renew this fence around your thinking, around your thoughts, your ideas, to put a fence around your head, namely to connect yourself with Hashem more and more. That's the second sicha. Now the third sicha, we're talking about Amalek. Amalek, that's mentioned right at the very end of this portion. Those people who come to the 3 o'clock class, yesterday we learned about that. It's a commandment to destroy Amalek. It says that there's a commandment every day. We have to remember wiping out Amalek. Okay, so what does this mean? What does it mean to wipe out Amalek? The inyan from Amalek in spiritual, in other words, inside of us, is what it says that Amalek asher karcha b'derech. Remember we learned this yesterday? Karcha means that he cut you off. It means that he defiled you, carry. But it also means that he cooled us off. Was macht cold. Amalek makes a person cold. Wie der Medrash teach, like the Medrash says, in dem Durach, the derech from Torah, the way of the Torah. What is the way of the Torah? And mitzvahs. Und gegen dem Krirus, that the only way to oppose this coldness of Amalek, darf men milchamet halten, you have to make a war with him every day. Inside of every Jew, there's a little Hitler, a little Amalek that hates Judaism, that opposes God, that would like to destroy the Jewish people. And what is this little Amalek inside of us? Coldness, indifference, lack of enthusiasm about God, about the Torah, about the commandments. As is wenig was hat sich nachem, it's not enough with yesterday that you were warm to the Torah and prayer, a person must today make another war against Amalek, against this coldness of Amalek. Coldness. My teacher, one of my teachers, his name was Rabbi Mendel Futafas. He said that you could see the example of Amalek, he said in World War II. He said a Cossack, they could go and kill people, murder people, women, babies, children, because they were hot-blooded. They loved war. And in the nighttime, they would sit down and get drunk and think, what did I do? I killed a baby. I killed a woman. They would cry. So they were emotional. They were animals. The Germans said they were cultured. They weren't animals. They could kill 1,000 people a day, shoot them with machine guns, kill them, take a 5-minute break, a 10-minute break, clean off their boots, from the blood that was on their boots, smoke a cigarette, laugh with their friends. Total lack of emotion, complete coldness. Says that's Amalek. Amalek is coldness. Coldness to Judaism, coldness to God, coldness to Torah, coldness to mitzvah, and it's inside of each one of us. I could care less, right? So what? It's Shabbos. So what? Tefillin. So what? I'm a Jew. Yether tug, every Jew, every day, even though you were enthusiastic yesterday, nach eder, even before a person goes out, haben sutan mit inyane, even before he deals with the world, darf men sich anwärmen. You have to warm yourself up to Hashem and make a war against the coldness inside of you, the indifference inside of you. In Hebrew, the word for cruelty is achzar. Achzar. And the word achzar, you can break it up into two words, ach and zar. Ach means only, and zar means a stranger. Achzar. In other words, you don't feel the other person at all. When you don't feel the other person at all, it's very easy to be cruel. You don't feel the other person at all. He's screaming, he's hungry, he's tired, he's what? Not my problem. And so that's Amalek. Amalek is, I don't care what Hashem wants. Who knows if there's even said, I only care about myself. Was das darf sein un in davening. How do you warm yourself up? That's the whole idea of prayer. That's the whole idea of prayer. When you pray in the morning, it's supposed to be an opportunity to talk to God and to realize who you're talking to sit for a second and think, who am I speaking to? Durch der Hislavos, by means of your excitement, and davening and prayer, veter kenen milchama halt, and then you can have a war with Amalek in the time when you're doing your things in the world, your day-to-day things. Und das ist achana, this is the preparation, to mechiat zarosh al Amalek, to wiping out Amalek. It's like a person he's going to whatever is for a big job interview. It's very important to him, or whatever, he wants to get in a university, and he strikes up a conversation with somebody, and somebody nudges him on the side, or his friend says, you know who you're talking to? You're talking to the boss. This is the guy who we're going to see. Oh, so it's totally different, right? It's totally different. You want to come and get you want to get a donation for your yeshiva, for your institution, for whatever it is, and it happens to be that the person sitting next to you in the plane is the person, and you don't know it. Also, you know who you're sitting next to? You're sitting next to the boss of this place where we're going to, right, this important man. As soon as you realize that, you talk differently, you act differently, you think differently, right? The same thing is when you're praying in the morning, you're talking to the creator of the universe. You know who you're talking to? No, I don't know who I'm talking to. I'm just doing him a favor that I'm talking to him. You know how many Jews that are not even religious? I'm doing them a big favor that I'm even talking to him. What are you, nuts? You crazy? You've got your opportunity. You're alone with the king, right? Just appreciate it a little bit. He's creating you. He's creating you. Think about that for a second. Right? That's called coldness. That's a Amalek. Was does vet zayin bebias. This is going to be in the Melech HaMashiach. Melech HaMashiach, especially, he's really going to wipe out Amalek. He's going to wipe out all of this opposition to the Jews, opposition to God, opposition to Torah. He's going to wipe it all out. And where is it mainly found? Inside of us. Inside of us. Vos is nogea. What is this care? Vos es is nogea. The farsim. What is important to advertise out of this whole business? That Amalek is inside of each one of us, and it's coldness, and we have to fight against him every day. What should we take out of this? What should we tell others? That milchamas al Amalek, that the war against Amalek, against coldness, darvza, the cold door of a door has to be in every generation and every day. Umen ken sich nit banuganen, we cannot be satisfied theremit with the fact as what happened earlier. Men ken sich nit banuganen, you cannot be satisfied with what had a Shein Zaydi, that you had a nice holy grandfather, a nice tata, a good father. My father was religious. You know the story that they say that a man comes into a restaurant and wants to know if the restaurant is kosher. And he said, is the restaurant kosher? He says, look, there's a picture of my grandfather hanging up. Look at this big beard he's got. There, I have a picture also of Moshe Feinstein. Here's a picture of the Ben Ish Chai. Here's a picture of the Baba Sali, of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. This is what he's talking about. He says to the man, listen, I'll tell you what. If your grandfather and Moshe Feinstein and Baba Sali and the Ben Ish Chai were standing here behind the register and your picture was up on the wall, then I would accept it. But you're here and those pictures are up on the wall, right? You're the one that's controlling the register. You're the one that's cooking the food. It's the same thing. You can't suffice with the fact that my father was holy and my grandfather was great, wonderful. The era line is oich gewen früher. Even if you yourself yesterday were a wonderful Jew, you were religious, nor darf ständig, a person constantly must make a war against the kaltkeit, the coldness of Amalek. Barum, because mitzad them, from this fact, which he is as nechashalim, just the fact that a person is a little bit, how do you say, not enthusiastic. Ken zich arayin chapen, all of a sudden a mullah can come in, v'yazanev b'chal kol nechashalim. A mullah can come and grab a hold of you, and that's it, you're finished. A person can be, right, a little bit of a temptation when a person is feeling. That's why it says that depression is not a sin, but it brings to all sins. Because a person is not enthusiastic, not to be warm, he's cold. A person who's depressed, he's like dead. Cold, a dead person is cold. Biz men vet poilin bebias HaMashiach, them macha timcha zechal malech. Then when the Mashiach comes, he's really, that's one of the main purposes of Mashiach, is to wipe out Amalek. And it should be right now, soon, wiping out Amalek totally. Okay, that's going to be the lesson for today. And now I will tell